my fanfic writers, my story writers, all my smut writers and yaoi and yuri writers. Oh my, oh my god, oh my god. I have some bad news for my Wattpad lovers. Come to the front, my Wattpad lovers. Come up to the front. As as a veteran as myself for Wattpad, there's some unfortunate news. As you know, you know what? Instead of explaining it, roll the clip.
Wattpad has joined the ranks of fanfiction.net and LiveJournal and similar websites because they updated their policies recently. Pause to read. I'm not going to keep them up for super long. We always have to keep in mind that new policies like this are on the surface something that seems good and something that seems productive and helpful and necessary. But as we know, and if you have a brain, everything you just read could be considered incredibly subjective. Who gets to decide what is glorifying harm? What is glorifying non-con? What is glorifying so on and so forth? What is considered sexual solicitation on the website? And you might be thinking, oh, that's really easy to define. But you could argue when it comes to a fictional story, if somebody is fictionally writing something that has to do with, let's say, sex work, and then some random Wattpad user decides to report it to the website deems it as you're soliciting sex toward people, even though it's just a story that involves sex work. Would you not agree that that's stupid? There is a reason why whenever policies like this get passed on websites, specifically websites that have to do with creative writing, people flock away from it like crazy. And it is because users can no longer trust the website to not try to come after their stories because everything becomes incredibly gray. Now, suddenly you could get pinned with writing something that is considered sexually inappropriate because now the website says that if you do write sexual content, it has to serve the greater purpose of the story and it cannot be considered pornographic and it cannot be considered just for sexual arousal. Someone could look at your story that you believe has plot, that you believe has purpose, and they could think to themselves, this is pornographic content, this is only to elicit sexual arousal, I'm going to report them. And then Wattpad has every right to say, we agree with this user, we're taking your story down. I saw that today on Twitter, so I guess we'll see if any of these Wattpad users move on over to AO3 and promptly have their minds fucking blown.
Real quick, do y'all remember when Tumblr banned corn out of nowhere in like 2015, 2016, and it isolated half of its users on the website, and so traffic went down heavily and nobody was clicking into the app, and then ads started to overrun it, and then Tumblr essentially became a dead app for a couple of people to knock about for 10 years. I just saw that Wattpad is banning smut in its writing, and I just think, did we learn nothing from Tumblr? Like, sure, like I guess the point is that children are on it, and like we're trying to like discourage children from reading smut, but like not only are people just gonna go to the next best thing, or in my opinion the first best thing, which is AO3, just like they did with Twitter back when Tumblr did what it did, but it's only going to essentially kill your website. And like that's, I know people be like, well, if your website, if the success of your website is dependent on adult content, then maybe your website shouldn't exist. And it's like, well, you don't really get to decide that, which is why AO3 operates as it does, as an archive. And Wattpad is going to fall off the face of the earth in the next year or so. People are going to be tweeting and on TikTok posting nostalgia bait about Wattpad because they just essentially killed their entire website.
What happened with Wattpad sucks. Devastating, clearly shouldn't have happened, clearly irrational, etc., etc. But what you might not know is a very similar thing is coming to our schools and our libraries if we are not careful. There are two bills I want you to keep an eye on. First off, HR 7661. It's a national book censorship and banning bill. It seeks to prohibit the use of public school funding to develop, implement, facilitate, host, or promote any program or activity to provide, to promote literature or other materials to children under the age of 18 that includes sexually oriented material. Once again, a Trojan bill worded in the craziest way possible, because they're not talking about sexually explicit content, they are talking about queer content, they are talking about leftist political content, they are talking about race-positive content. Anti-racism is included in this, anything pro-trans is included in this. There is no porn in your kids' schools. They're talking about gay people and people of color. This bill seeks to remove the funding from any public school that does not remove the books that the government says they have to remove. And guess what? The Senate has a companion bill to this. S4925. Take a look at that sneaky little bill name. Stop the Sexualization of Children Act. No one in our government will face any repercussions for being in the Epstein files. Instead, they're gonna go down to your rural little public school and remove all the books about gay people. And if you don't remove those books about gay people, they're not gonna give your kids food. They're not gonna give your kids lunches. They're not gonna fund your kids' teachers. They're gonna screw you over. This bill specifically has wording against transgenderism, and it claims to have an exception about classical works, but only Western classical works. You know what that means. So if you are deeply upset about what happened on Wattpad, you should also be upset about this, and keep an eye on this, because websites like Wattpad, private businesses like Wattpad are just the beginning. This is going to get so much worse if we are not careful.
I'm going to single-handedly be the person who pushes and pushes and pushes for us to get back to our damn roots. I get it, the edits are beautiful, but you know what we used to have before we used to have edits? Wattpad. That's where the edit was. You wanted to see your favorite couple together? Go to Wattpad and use your imagination. Fanfic.net. If you were a little bit spicy, you would use AO3. Now.
And you know what? I never had a Wattpad account. I moved directly from the ancient battleground of fanfiction.net onto Archive of Our Own. However, I was on fanfiction.net for The Purge, and pouring one out for y'all tonight. No more being sold to One Direction on the Sold to One Direction website. Fucking travesty. In all seriousness, the new censorship list that they have going forward is Puritan as hell. Banning work if it is primarily meant for arousal. How are you gonna judge that? Are writers gonna have to include like a thesis statement on how the intimate scenes are plot or character relevant in some way? Gratuitous or prolonged violence that doesn't support the wider narrative? Again, how long is gratuitous violence? How much does it have to be before it no longer supports the narrative? This is not enforceable. These are not specific enough rules. In general, we get those buzzwords of like, it's content that normalizes or glorifies this stuff. But again, how are you gonna judge that? How are the Wattpad mods gonna judge whether or not something is just depicting or criticizing a topic versus glorifying it? In fanfiction.net days, we used to put a disclaimer on all of our work that was like, I don't own any of the characters or plot materials that are in this fic. Wattpad writers are gonna have to start writing, this fic does not glorify or encourage acts of violence, because we can't trust people to just think for themselves, apparently. But if we don't get a reversal of these policies, the kids who are new to fandom are about to see exactly what happens when a fandom purge happens on a website. It's been too long since we've gotten one of these, so a lot of people have forgotten their roots. They've forgotten what can happen. They've forgotten why Archive of Our Own was made in the first place. It's just stupid. It's so stupid. But I am sorry if you're a fic writer on Wattpad who writes any sort of explicit content. I wish that we weren't still having to do this old song and dance again.
Everyone's talking about, oh my god, all these new people are gonna come from Wattpad to AO3, all the Puritans, all this and that. No! This is not the biggest problem we're going to fucking have. The biggest fucking problem is they're not gonna know how to fucking tag! Okay? This is the number one problem. The tags. Listen, it takes a while to get an AO3 membership, you know what I'm saying, to get an invite. So this isn't going to be happening right away. But over time, as people start to get those invites, they start coming to AO3, what's going to happen? The tagging, the archive's going to be fucking jumbled. Like, that's the biggest fucking problem we're going to have. The archive's about to be a mess, to be fucking honest. And I like, that's going to be the issue. that now we're going to be running into fics where you now, like right now, you don't really run into fics where something surprises you. I never run into anything I don't like because everything is tagged so beautifully. But now, oh, dark days are coming. The night is dark and filled with terror.
So, as a veteran myself, once again, the censorship monster is on the loose. The censorship purge is coming back. If you guys don't know about the censorship purge, I wasn't a fanfic.com or .net veteran. However, I was a Tumblr lover and a YouTube kid. Okay, Tumblr and YouTube kid. Trying to think of some other ones. Might be some other ones. I'll think of it when it hits me. But anyways, those two mainly, and I'm still a YouTube person. I love my YouTube. And I love my Tumblr. However, the purge hit so hard on Tumblr when Tumblr used to have corn. And they still do have corn. I'm going to tell you that now. There's a censorship of what I'm saying right now. You all understand what I'm talking about when I say corn. But anyways, the censorship monster wiped out the nation of Tumblr of all corn. Again, corn is still there on Tumblr. Still is. And then YouTube. Oh yeah, remember when there used to be major corn on YouTube to video gameplay and actual corn itself. It's still there. A little tiny speck of it's still there. But YouTube, the censorship monster wiped out YouTube as well too. To make it more kid friendly. It's not kid friendly. These damn kids are taking over shit. We can't have nothing these days, man. We can't have nothing. We really can't have nothing. So, the purge is happening on Wattpad now. The censorship monster is wiping out people's accounts and their stories. Yes, I've seen this on Twitter as well, too. They're taking accounts as well, too. SoundCloud used to have corn. A lot of people didn't know. SoundCloud used to have corn. The censorship monster also attacked that. I think Spotify somewhat still have corn. But the censorship monster also wiped that out, too. If you don't know, if you put corn on SoundCloud, your account go bye-bye, okay? Your account go bye-bye. I still do corn, and I used to put it on SoundCloud. That's how I first started my voice acting stuff on there. And it was booming until the monster of the censorship wiped my account out. And luckily I have a backup account, so but anyways, long story short, and Wattpad, you cannot do corn. If you do corn, your joint go bye-bye. It does. And now a lot of people, a lot of veterans like myself is going to AO3. AO3. So on basically throughout the internet, corn is going to be wiped out soon. It's going to get wiped out. It's not going to be no more corn. It's not going to be a safe space for people to write their fantasy novels or their smut novels or their yaoi novels and so on and so forth. If you're going to make a fanfic, it has to be clean, censored, and you have to be, I guess, specific on how the corn is going to be in there if you add corn to it. Because you get censored. Because the person that is reading your stuff and they see that there's corn in it, they could just automatically just report you just for corn. For some reason, people just don't like corn in their fanfics. Some people, I said some, yeah, this is happening right in front of our eyes. So now, if we ever want to write corn, we're going to have to write it somewhere else. Not just only AO3, but also if we want to write it in our Google Drive and send it to each other. You know? That's what's going to lead to the point. That's the only safe area that we could just deliver each other corn. It's getting crazy because there's a lot of different countries that are censoring corn and not allowing corn. I mean, look at the UK. They're really just getting rid of, I guess, social media and more. They're trying to take us back in time, guys. I mean, all of us read books. Yes, we all read books. But taking the internet and social media away and then replacing it with AI and so much more is bad enough. They're trying to get rid of books now. Burn the books. Before they burn the books, they want to send these books through an AI system to remember all of the chapters bit by bit, detail by detail, and then burn the books. So imagine how it's going to be if all these fanfic writing books, I can't speak English today, sorry. So all these fanfic writing sites and apps are being taken down. Imagine having AI replace all of that. All of that. So we can't be creative anymore. AI is taking over as we speak right now. Everybody knows. Some people don't want to hear it. Some people don't care about AI. They hate AI. Listen, I get it. I get it. But once these fanfic sites and apps and more get taken away due to censorship, people's not going to feel comfortable anymore to do any form of stories because of AI. Yes, there is a detail within the Wattpad situation that AI is actually taking over Wattpad and it's scanning the stories that you publish. They scan the stories. They scan the covers that you made yourself. Yes, AI is doing that now. Yeah, if you may or may not know. AI is doing that now, so they'll scan and say this is inappropriate even though the story is not inappropriate. Oh, the cover is inappropriate. The story itself is inappropriate. We have to get rid of this, so we're taking your story down and your account down as well too, unfortunately. So people are migrating to AO3 and probably fanfic.net if it's still there. Oh my god. This is ridiculous. I'm just going to say it now. It's ridiculous. As a story writer and fellow story writers that's out there, this is really pure torture. We are in an era that AI is taking over everybody's creativity. To art, to music, to acting, to story writing, to so much more. AI is replacing humans every day over so many things that we do in life. And it will be to the point that nobody can't do anything because of AI. AI is in charge of everything. Okay? So like I said, it's going to be to the point you're going to have to go on Google Drive or Google Docs, or mainly Google Docs, I mean. You have to go on Google Docs and you got to send fanfics back and forth to each other for everybody to read within your friend group or whoever. Shit, you might have to go on social media if social media isn't corrupted and taken over by AI. Yeah. Wow. To be honest, I never expect Wattpad to go through this. I really did not expect this. I really didn't. So it's just unexpected for something like that to happen. And I know a lot of people is going through this meltdown that's going on. Speaking of AI, I have another report that I will be doing towards AI. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. Bye.